even from 1.8, this thing hits and nails focus every single time. You can check the results for yourself. No, this isn't just clickbait. The Pyxis does have fantastic autofocus, with a couple of caveats. One being depending on the lens mount system you're using, the second being depending on the lens system itself, so the lens manufacturer you're using, and the third is not continuous. It is singular or point-to-point autofocusing, but it is still autofocus. Before you click off, if you're here for continuous autofocus, there is a thread down below I've started on the Blackmagic forum that I could really do with everyone's help to make this camera far more appealing to the autofocus crowd. It's been done on a previous system, so it is doable. It's just a port over, and I think it would be really easy. It's been received quite well amongst the community. So whether you're clicking off now because it's not continuous autofocus, or you're sticking around to see the results, and there are some coming up, please, before you leave, head down to that link and upvote, add your opinions, add your thoughts to my thread on the Blackmagic forum. There's some really exciting features I'm going to go over towards the end of the video that can be easily ported to this camera and make it just fantastic for a lot of people. So let's talk about its autofocus. I'm going to pop up some examples as I talk, so you don't have to look at my face whilst I'm doing it, but you can actually see what's going on. All of the examples you're seeing were either a native L-mount lens. This one I'm filming on now, the 50-1.8, and I'll put the description down below of what the lens is, where the aperture's at, and so on and so forth. Or it was shot on the Canon 24-70 2.8 L2 Pro lens with a Sigma NC21, the EF to L mount adapter. I have run tests with an older Canon lens, a 35-80, 3.5 to 5.6, and I have run tests using the Comlight and the Viltrox adapter. To avoid any admission of doubt, I'm going to be upfront and say that the Viltrox and Comlight I could neither get on one or the other depending on the lens mounts. I could neither get the iris function, so the f-stop aperture, to work, or the autofocus. It was very hit and miss. Sometimes the Viltrox and the Comlight were really fast on autofocus, but it wasn't replicable, so that would make this video completely clickbait and useless to everyone. I have run tests tighter and I have run tests wider. It's the same result irregardless. I have found that the brighter the scene, the more it struggles, which confused me a little bit, but I'm guessing that's because it's contrast detect, and therefore the brighter the overall scene is, the less information it has to go on in terms of depth. So bear that in mind. I shot a 50mm to keep it fair between lenses. The Pyxis is getting slammed, of course, for not having continuous autofocus. I'm not, as I've been very vocal on the channel, I don't use autofocus. I have an AC that does that, or I'll manually do it. If you've checked out my last video, you'll see that I wireless rack sometimes. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up above, so you can go ahead and give that a watch. It's all about pairing the tilta nucleus and how you can control your camera wirelessly with that. I recommend giving it a go, because I'm coming across these really cool things that this camera system has, and everyone's so busy ramming this camera for not having one feature, they're missing some of the cool features that it does have. We've got another cool feature on this side plate here that I'm going to do a very brief video on, and how it can really help you in tricky situations. If you've watched the channel, you know I don't believe in the term run and gun, but for those people that believe they are running and gunning, or actually are, there's a function to this camera that is phenomenal. It's really, really great. It's an old school broadcast trick, which is where Blackmagic hail from, so it makes sense that they would put that in there. I've seen someone, it was Carl from Pro AV, hi mate, said that he wanted, that to be an assignable button, and I agree. There's not a lot of people that know about this trick, and stay tuned if you want to know what it is, and that could be an assignable button. I do agree it would be great to have both, but I love the fact that they still include this feature, so stay tuned for that video. Back to autofocus. Your autofocus button is just here on the side, and it's at the moment a center square, so center focus punch. Now I get why they don't shout about this, because it's not perfect and it's not great across a lot of different lenses. With the Canon lenses where there's low contrast, or even closed down aperture, which surprised me, it hunts a lot to the point of probably being unusable. But between the sweet spot of f4 and 5.6, it's actually very good and on point. With L-mount glass, native L-mount glass, and I can only attest to what I've got, which I borrowed a 20-60 and which I will be buying now, and I've got a 50-1.8. Even from 1.8, this thing hits and nails focus every single time. You can check the results for yourself. So to summarize my points of the Blackmagic Pyxis 6K having great autofocus, I'm going to keep saying it has fantastic singular autofocus. The Sigma MC21 yields the best results with Canon glass. It does hunt the closer you get to Iris f8. 4 to 5.6 on those lenses, and that's a stock zoom lens and the pro lens. I tested a Tamron as well. It was pretty similar to the stock lens. They have intermittent hunting results, but I would say 9.5 out of 10 times you're getting the result you need, providing there is a high contrast, so you know, lots of difference in luminance between what you're focusing on. In a high key scene, so where there's not much contrast, Canon glass hunts quite a bit. The most impressive part with the cheaper Luumix L-mount L lenses, so the 50-1.8, the 20-60 stock lens, this thing just bangs it on the nail every time. It gets wherever you point that box, the focus pull is smooth and it's snappy and it is on point. Your image is crisp and clear. The test footage I put up is just a very quick, nasty test for you to see that I'm not talking out my backside. But if you marry the right glass to this body, and again, please write your questions down below, I'll do my very best to answer them. But if you marry this body with the right lens, that combination for single point autofocus is phenomenal. Now, when the Pyxis first released, I had it a little early. Mine was very buggy, and you also have a punch in, so a critical focus button down here. I love that too. When I did that, my box would move, so I could actually move by using my finger and zooming into each corner. I could move my autofocus box to different points of my scene. Something I would like to see is Blackmagic, now that we've got a scroll wheel and a box, allow us to move the box around and also change the size of the box. I've got a thread down below. If you do anything else off the back of this video, please hit that thread or your socials and nag Blackmagic for the update on autofocus for this, and be specific. Tell them that we want the A, B and C, like the Ursa broadcast had, assignable rack focus positions. So on that camera you could actually select an A, B and C and then hit through your rack points. There's more detail on the thread, so please do go and check that out, upvote it, add what you think they are. To begin with, even if it's just a simple update of allowing us to move the box, I would like to see this progress to, and so Blackmagic, if you're listening, if you're watching, or anyone that's close to Blackmagic, I'd love to have a chat with you about it. I'm sure you don't need to, but maybe you will. To just being able to touch focus. A massive part of the FX6 community rely on touch focus for their autofocus systems, because as great as that camera is at autofocus, it doesn't always get it right. Any camera system's constantly guessing at what you want to see, and sometimes you have to tell it. We have touchscreen and we have singular autofocus. There's no reason why we can't have tap to focus on this system. The FX6 didn't have it when it first came out. Users demanded it and got it, and it's one of the most widely used points of that autofocus. So before I get trolled down below by saying it hasn't got autofocus, it hasn't got continuous autofocus, you're right, but it does have singular autofocus, which means it can have tap to focus, which also means it can have assignable A, B and C rack points, or as many as Blackmagic will allow us to have. A, B, C is plenty. A, B would be great. But it does have that ability for you to tap between a talking head, a documentary, a tennis match, a car race, a football match, etc, 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 which I think would steal away a lot of that Sony crowd that are using these cameras professionally. So please go and hit Blackmagic up, be specific. They do listen to users and they do add features to cameras when they're requested by enough people. I'm not a huge fan of autofocus, but to be able to sit in a seminar when people are talking between each other and tap between them or rack between them for autofocus saves me a massive job and a massive worry. Again, even if you're just using this autofocus system to take you there and you're finishing the job, why not? Why not add features that make your life so much better? For everyone leaving positive comments and asking questions, please do ask questions. If there's something you want me to test, I can only test the lenses that I've got, so I'll try and replicate what it is that you want me to do to the best of my ability and get back to you on the comments. Hopefully if you've now subscribed, you'll see that I'm very active in the comments and I love the community aspect of this. Trolls I don't really care about. You know, the algorithm loves negative as much as it does positive, so you're doing me a favor. But yeah, for everyone that leaves the positive comments and questions and interacts in the community and everything else, you guys are superstars. You guys and girls are superstars, and thank you very much for taking the time to chat to little old me. If this hits you in the middle of the week, I hope you're having a great week. If it hits you at the end of the week or the weekend, I hope you're having a fantastic weekend, and I will see you very soon in the next one.